afternoon. Here we are at the Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission. I appreciate everyone joining us today, either here in the Sunny West Room or for those of you joining online, we welcome you as well. My name is Pete Westerholm, and we've got an agenda today to get through. Just as a reminder, if you've not signed in, please do so. There are 2 sign-up sheets. One of those is to get a record of your attendance, to make sure that any follow-ups that need to go out, we are able to track who is attending, to make sure any pertinent information is provided to you. The other one is a sign-up sheet for those who wish to speak at our public comment period, which will begin in just a few moments. All right, let me read in a few things real quick, indicating a quorum is present. Pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that the decisions of the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. All right, I also wanted a few other quick comments as indicated in the work session agenda that's been posted. Due to another meeting that's scheduled in this space this afternoon, we do have to have a hard stop at 4 p.m. And so when we do have to adjourn, I will ask you to please try to exit the room in a timely manner so they can get this room prepared. And because our agenda has a lot on there, we will not be able to open for additional public comments during the announcement period of the agenda. Sometimes we have opportunities for that, but there will be, as time allows, a public comment period after our work session. So that is another opportunity to be on the lookout for. I also want to take a moment just to recognize the staff that's here from the Housing Division, as well as our commissioners for their hard work during the August work session. I know we had a lot of good conversations and good things to keep working on. We also want to recognize and thank the applicants and grantees for their participation in the work session as well. I believe we're making some good headway on a lot of our items. And as I alluded to earlier, last month, the Housing Trust Fund Commission meetings are now recorded and available on the Metro Nashville network. This is an opportunity for us to increase transparency, as well as give an opportunity for more people to be able to attend and keep track of conversations we're having in this room. And I also want to, at this point, welcome Director Hubbard, and we have another guest from Metro Legal that's going to be joining us for a while, so yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, Kelly is on my team, and so she will be working with you all in conjunction with me. So this is Kelly Woodward.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. All right. I also next want to move over to introduce, we have 2 new commissioners. As you all may be aware, in the last few months, we've lost 2 just very dedicated and very valuable members. But while we are sad to have lost our former council member and my mind goes blank, of course, when the TVs are on, right? And Gina, we are excited to welcome Councilmember Berkeley Allen, who's going to become our council representative, as well as Lizzie Goddard. I'll allow Lizzie to do a brief introduction.
All right, good afternoon. I'm very excited to join this commission and work with you all. My name is Lizzie Goddard. I'm the designee from the Homelessness Planning Council. I've served on that body for a little over a year. I work as a housing systems consultant and TA provider for homelessness response systems, and work on a lot of deeply affordable and permanent supportive housing initiatives across the country. So excited to bring that experience and to work with you all, and yeah, just honored to have this opportunity.
All right, thank you, Lizzie. We look forward to having you. All right, next up is the approval of the minutes. These were featured in your packets. Commissioners, you should have had an opportunity to review these. Are there any edits or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. All right, appreciate that. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Minutes are approved. All right, moving over to the public comment period. For those of you who wish to speak, you should have by now signed up the sheet at the beginning. Catherine, do you have that list? All right, could you read us the first name on there? All right, Lucille, and I will remind those speaking at public comment that we do want to keep these to a 2-minute limit, so please try to focus your comments to a 2-minute time frame. Thank you.
Is it on now? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good.
Thanks.
My name is Lucille Houseworth. I'm with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Nashville. I just wanted to thank this body for allowing public comments. I think it's really important to exchange ideas as we all work together towards solutions. One other suggestion I have, which may or may not be feasible, but I heard you say a meeting or two ago that you have SurveyMonkey, and I thought that it might be helpful at some point to use that tool for doing surveys to augment what's able to be shared in 2-minute comments. If you could design the questions so that there was a limit on the characters or the words, people wouldn't do too many words and you wouldn't have to read it all, but there might be some things that others would like to share as we work together to create the future for this program. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Catherine?
Next we have Eric Davis and others from IMNext and AGB Real Estate.
You don't know our names. I'm teasing. Hey, good afternoon. I'm Nathan Harmoning. I'm the VP of Operations for HB Real Estate. We've been topic of conversation the last couple of meetings, but today we're very excited to bring something to you all during this time, and I'll pass it to Eric.
Yes, I'm Eric Davis, the new executive director for the nonprofit I Am Next, and we're doing obviously the affordable housing for our young people who have aged out of the foster care system. And I'll let Ryan go.
Adam Rosenberg, founder, AGB Real Estate.
And so today we are very grateful and happy to report that we have 80 of our units filled with the Barnes Grant Funds, and we appreciate so much of your service and this governing body. Of those 80%, so 85% are full, and that's a total of 100 units, and that's been full since February, since we received the grant. So that's 27 young adults who have aged out of the foster care system that have affordable housing. And that's also 33 adults that are in the permanent supportive housing program that's served by Step Up for case management. And then we also have 20 adults coming out of homelessness below the 30% AMI threshold. So again, we appreciate your service so much, and we're doing everything in our part to provide that structure and programmatic support that these young people need and all of our residents need in order to be successful.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Next we have Casey Hawkins from Habitat for Nashville.
There, brighter green. So thank you for a moment to speak. I want to really recognize first the assessor's office this month. Over the reappraisal period this year, I was able to my team was able to work with their team to help successfully reassess over 100 properties that are Barnes funded and have long-term restrictions on them for values that are more appropriate to what the values are with those restrictions, saving our homeowners, some money that's really going to help offset rising insurance and other costs. So I appreciate the work that their staff and team were able to do, and just wanted to recognize them. I've been with Habitat over 18 years. And I've worked with all the 100+ homeowners who have the affordability restrictions. And as of today, we have seen our third resale. So a lot of learning has taken place in that process. I was around when the first restrictive covenant was developed. I was able to give some input then. I wish some more of that input was in place because some specificity around what needs to happen and how things should work really would provide better clarity to homebuyers as well as to program staff. Fortunately, I'm still here from the beginning to now, but that's not always going to be the case. And some better clarity with that would be really helpful for all involved. And so I look forward to opportunities to work together and improve how that works in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to come up and say thank you all, first of all, but congratulations on your appointment there, Lizzie, and hopefully Councilmember Allen when she gets here. I met Lizzie during her tenure with the Metro Homeless Impact Division of Social Services. She is a hard worker and cares a lot, so it's good to see her here. She was working on a project to find 500 landlords that would take vouchers. I don't believe it was successful. I'm not sure. But it's not her fault. That wasn't her fault. But I hope you can use this space to push these people further ahead in that work, Lizzie. You know that permanent supportive affordable housing for the 0 to 30% AMI range is the #1 bottleneck for the community continuum of care and homelessness planning council by thousands of units. Please do your very best work here. That goes for the rest of you on the dais and the audience as well. That was great news. That last comment there with the 80 units filled, excellent work. We need bold and urgent action. We have great people here. Thank you for investing your time here. So.
We do have one more, sorry. We have Andrea Prince from Ability Together.
All right, thank you. Andrea?
Hello, Andrea Prince, Rebuilding Together Nashville. I just wanted to say one, thank you to the commission and staff for being so gracious and listening to everybody's kind of comments and feedbacks, and also just a welcome to Lizzie on the commission, and we're happy to see Councilmember Allen back as well. And I just wanted to also give that brief comment just around, especially looking at the UHS and moving forward. I'm excited too about there being leadership group too around the UHS from the mayor's office, and wanted to be sure, I'm doing my due diligence of course, plugging home repair and preservation and all of that within strategy D in Action 27. It's kind of marked as a short-term high priority. And so, I know with the home repair organizations here and who have been funded by Barnes in the past, we are ready to get to work and preserve more housing. So thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate all the hard work you all are doing.
All right, thank you, Andrea. All right, that gets into our list. All right. Thank you all for the public comments. We appreciate those. And next we'll move on to the financial update and legislation. Commissioners, this was also in your packet. We are also able now to share it on the screen. And this is the August 2025 budget to actuals. I'll turn over to Director Hubbard to walk us through this.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So as of to date, for the month of August, we spent $37 recording a deed of trust. So a project closed and the deed of trust was recorded. We paid $340 to CPS to conduct inspections on projects that submitted construction draws. And we had a great month of projects moving forward with invoicing to the tune of a little over $2.4 million. And so for the actuals for the month of August, it's $2,428,242, representing 14% of our fiscal year budget.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commission? All right, thank you, Director.
Chair, if I may, ask for a point of order to move the discussion items ahead of items for vote so that the commission can discuss the results of the Office of Financial Accountability Review, since there is an item for vote related to one of the grantees.
Without objection, we'll grant that.
Okay. So the first item for discussion is an Office of Financial Accountability Review. OFA has never reviewed, they're part of the Metro Finance Department. They've never reviewed any of the Barnes Fund grantees. OFA has the charge to review, it's not an audit, it's a monitoring review, any grantee with Metro government. And this is the largest grant program by far. And earlier in the spring, OFA selected 3 grantees, Project Return, Crossbridge, and Thistle Farms, to review. They've concluded their reviews on both Project Return and Crossbridge. Thistle Farms is still in progress. We expect that report to be available by the October meeting. The first one on Project Return did result in a finding. This is a project in which Metro awarded $190,844 to Project Return to rehabilitate 2 homes for rent. We have only paid them for their first draw of $47,708. That draw was for the first 25% that included preparing a scope of work, some pre-development or some inspection cost. The documentation that Project Return submitted to us was that scope of work, which we did approve. However, OFA determined, once they reviewed Project Return's general ledger, that said transfer $40,000 from the Barnes Fund to cover payroll to be an ineligible use of the funds, and asked Project Return to ultimately return to Metro $41,753, which Project Return has done. They've also asked Project Return to submit a corrective action plan to the Housing Division, which they have. Among the corrective actions that Project Return has taken is the change in leadership at the CEO and I believe the CFO level, ensuring that all submittals for draw requests have receipts and supporting documentation, and that's also reflected in their ledgers. All the staff involved with Barnes Fund grants will have training on allowable costs, grant compliance, documentation standards, strengthening financial oversight, and incorporating internal controls and monitoring. Our staff believe that this is an acceptable corrective action plan. The report goes on to identify an observation of our department in processing and approving this payment. Since OFA determined that the scope of work that was submitted was not adequate, they asked planning to submit a corrective action plan, which is also in your packet. This is an older grant. It's a round 10 project using an older form, and we've already taken some action since those grants were awarded and this was processed. This is including updating our draw request form. This was implemented beginning with our round 13 grants. There's much more information captured on our new draw request forms, including specifying what documentation is required. We've created a compliance function, which James filled in 2024. Planning in June has engaged a private consulting firm, Fraser Dieter LLC, to look at all of planning's financial management processes and controls, because planning has substantially grown in the amount of funding that we manage thanks to our division joining the planning department. And so this is a very deep analysis that will help us scope what additional technology, staffing needs, and internal controls planning needs to have. We will be expanding the compliance function to create a compliance manager position that will be scoped up on the results of the Fraser Dieter review. So they're helping to scope what that job description and qualifications of the compliance manager is. And then we will be, we've asked for collaboration with OFA on creating a documentation checklist, because we did believe that scope of work did justify the grant, the payment milestone, but since it was questioned by OFA, we want to make sure that we receive clarity from them on what they deem acceptable. So those are the corrective actions that, finally, I missed one. We're working with Metro ITS to create a grants management system. We have no technology other than to track everything using Excel, and we are looking for some significant technology upgrades. And so those are the results of the project return review. The cross-bridge review resulted in no findings, so obviously that should speak that the findings or the observation in the project return is not systemic. We have received initial indication that we'll have the same results for Thistle Farms, but we'll wait for the official report from OFA to confirm that that will also be without issue.
All right, thank you for walking us through that, Director Hubbard. I'll pause and allow commissioners opportunity to ask questions or follow up if there's any.
Could you tell us a bit more about the Fraser-Dieter review and how it'll impact us?
So the Fraser-Dieter review is planning department engagement, played with planning department operational funding that we received. And it is really to strengthen our staff roles, staff capacity, to support not only the commission, but the grant management of the fund. This fund has grown exponentially since it transferred to planning in 2022, round 10 being the first one. I think we've received well over half of the funding in our portfolio just in the past 2 to 3 years. And we want to make sure that we're sufficiently staffed with the appropriate level of expertise and have the appropriate level of technology to ensure that all of our invoices are properly approved, but also that things are moved through the system. Metro requires 3 levels of review in our payment system that go through other levels of our finance department within planning, and making sure that everyone in the review chain is trained on what they're looking at with related to construction draws.
This is exciting.
And
It's a growth opportunity.
And Director, do we anticipate that once the technological improvements are put in place, it will improve the efficiency of the review process for staff and potentially as well for, are there any like outward-facing elements that might also be easier, or is that?
We are working toward a grants management technology that goes from the application process all the way through to the tracking of invoices. So any grantee here that's used SurveyMonkey Apply would probably welcome a change in the whole application process. It would streamline the evaluation process as well. So it would really just help from A to Z.
Appreciate that.
And if I may add one more comment, as part of as we're implementing our new controls, grantees will see more direction, clarifying documentation we're receiving. We'll be adding some new procedures to supplement the draw request so that we can have some itemized list of costs, because we can get like 200 pages worth of draws and sort through and make sure that they haven't been duplicated. So we're also working to streamline or to summarize that so we know what we're looking at, and everyone up through the review chain knows what's in the draw package.
All right, we appreciate the information that's been provided. I appreciate the discussion, and this was just an item for discussion that we had moved up. So in our agenda, we're now going to be moving back to the items for vote. So with that, now moving back to what is item number 6 on our agenda. This is the items for vote. There's a series of grant contract amendments. I'll ask Director Hubbard once again to walk us through these one at a time.
Thank you. The first one is related to project return, which is why I wanted to have the discussion beforehand. This is an amendment to extend their Round 10 contract for another 12 months, but it's also a request to reduce their grant budget from the awarded amount of $190,884 by the amount repaid to Metro, leaving them with a new grant award of $149,131. Having talked with the grantee, they are able to complete these two projects with the reduced grant budget. This project is underway.
All right, thank you, Director Hubbard. This is in the packets. Any questions from commissioners? Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Antone makes a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Deborah with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, thank you very much, Director Hubbard. The next item?
Thank you. The next item is an amendment to the Round 10 contract with Park Center to extend the term for an additional 12 months, as well as to change the address from 4501 Gallatin Pike to 1095 Gwynn Drive. There is no change in the location. The project is situated at the intersection of Gallatin Road and Gwynn Drive, so during the permitting process, a Metro department resituated the address, and so we want to make sure the contract documents reflect all the permits and all of the final documents for the project.
All right, thank you.
And this project's underway, sorry.
All right, thank you for that description. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Deborah,
Second.
a second by Lizzie. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, Director Hubbard, I believe there's one more. Oh, there's a few more, I'm sorry. Move on to the next one.
3 more.
Three, oh.
But the next 2 are both for Be a Helping Hand Foundation. We'll take them each, though, so we can have separate votes for the minutes. But Be a Helping Hand Foundation received 2 grants in Round 10. This first one, or both of them, are simply to extend the term 1 year. This one is for $339,000 to build 3 new rental homes at various addresses on Robertson Street. The grantee has also applied for home funds with MDHA, which is currently under review. We've confirmed that with MDHA. The grantee has made assurances that if they don't get the award, they'll move forward with the rest of the financing through the Community Investment Tax Credit, which is the CITC acronym referred to in your packet. You can see their projected timeline with the MDHA grant or either with the CITC grant. But either way, the grantee will be moving forward with one or the other financing, and this is the financing that they had originally included in their application.
Thank you for that description. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
A motion by Antone, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Deborah. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, Director?
This is also an amendment for Be a Helping Hand Foundation, same circumstances. This one was an award of $449,000, 300, okay, you see the number, I'm totally tongue-tied right now, to build 2 rental homes on 14th Avenue North. This is a request to extend for an additional 12 months, same situation with the home funding or CITC funding, and project scheduled to be completed by September of next year.
Thank you for the description. Any questions or comments from the commission? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion from Antone, is there a second? Second from Jayla. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, Director?
This is the last amendment request. This is for an amendment to extend the term for additional 12 months for New Level CDC. This is a project known as the Artist Lofts Townhomes on Dickerson Pike. This project has been held up through significant metro sewer infrastructure requirements and upgrades, a redesign of the WeGo Transit Center. If you recall, there's also a rental property on site, Artist Lofts, that has been impacted by the same redesign and water sewer. This has delayed the final entitlements and getting construction moving forward. The grantee has not made any draws and has still expressed that they might be looking at some other locations on the site that would require less grading. We do have some concerns about the project being able to move forward in a timely manner. If there is still not settled on where on the property that the construction will take place this far into the project, having that site plan settled would indicate more of a feasible timeline moving forward. So we did want to share that in our staff recommendation.
Thank you for that. Questions, comments from the commission?
I mean, 3 years is a lot of time to not have the site picked out. But I guess I've heard briefly, there's something to do with the WeGo and the transit center and the transit hub changed.
Yeah, that has had a significant timeline input, and I know from the planning department being involved in some of those site conversations that has triggered a lot of why the site location may still be up in the air with that redesign having to happen after WeGo changed from having a larger transit hub to a smaller transit station.
And do we know whether there's any more, whether there'd be any more circumstances, if this were to move forward, for there to be further impediments to their getting back onto a schedule that would be within a shorter timeline?
Chair, also maybe invite the grantee to answer some project-specific questions. I think
Sure.
if that's at your discretion and you're willing to have those
Sure.
questions answered.
If you want to come up just for the microphone.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So so with this, I think this project is something we've seen before. There's a lot of things that we're excited about, but obviously delays are something that we're also trying to be very aware of, just because we're trying to get dollars out as quickly as possible. Do you have a sense of, from what you've heard with different Metro departments and other just infrastructure concerns in the area, to what extent is if we were to move forward on this, what would that do to your timeline versus like what other variables are out there?
Yeah, it's a good question regarding Metro delays and the WeGo redesign. We anticipate receiving grading permits and final site plan approval this week. So we're making significant progress there. Once that's finalized, I think we'll have a much better idea of a timeline, but we believe that 12 months is enough time to move forward on the townhome project. Regarding the grading exercise that Angie mentioned, we're really looking at ways to reduce our site work cost, which is extraordinarily high in the current budget because of how hilly the site is. So we believe by finding the flattest possible location within the site, that'll be enough to move forward with, starting construction. And the financing is available and we're ready to move forward. We just need more time to continue out the site work exercise and also, get approval on the final site plan and grading permits and whatnot on the entire master plan, which is currently in Metro's court right now. But yeah, good question.
I appreciate that. Deborah?
Question, just kind of reading the notes, it said that the project capital is ready to go, and then right after that, it says you're waiting for interest rates to come down and additional soft funding to become available. Please explain.
Yeah, so we are ready to move forward with the project, but interest rates are a challenge right now for first-time homeowner for sale townhomes, meeting the 80% AMI Barnes requirement, which is the goal with this project. Interest rates were just cut 25 basis points last week, so we're heading in the right direction. In terms of the capital that, the partnership between Holiday Ventures and New Level CDC, we are ready to move forward on the project, but in terms of commercial financing, we will need interest rates to continue to come down to move forward as well. But we believe that within the next 12 months, the combination of more soft funding becoming available, interest rates coming down, which they already did last week, and our site plan approval for Metro, and our site work exercise to find the lowest cost site work budget, we believe we'll be able to move forward.
Any further questions from the commission? All right, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for him specifically, I just had a question in general.
Okay.
Okay, so since homeownership is a portion of the allocated funds, how does it usually go with things like interest rates going fluctuating up and down? Does that ever affect projects, because I'm not as, involved?
We have milestones. Obviously, we have a 2-year contract that's renewed that is to first develop the property, and then we haven't seen really homeownership come online at a time where there's been a flux in interest rate to really monitor this. We actually had a conversation with some homeownership developers pre-meeting of getting a working group together to talk about how we can structure to be responsive to market conditions around homeownership for that, but it does impact qualification and ability to buy, but that is a different situation than completing the development that's required under the grant.
Director Hubbard, are there any limitations on how often a grantee can request an extension, or do we have any data on how often people are requesting extensions from the 24-month term?
There are no limitations on the number of amendments that a grantee can have. I'm looking at legal. Several years ago in Metro Code, there is a 2-year term and then an initial renewal of an additional 12 months. I've never seen a new construction project be completed in 24 months. So pretty much every single new construction project has to have at least one amendment, if not more than that, especially if there's significant site work involved. Also, if the capital, because Barnes has traditionally been first money in, and if capital has been a challenge, that's also pushed back the start of a project and needing amendments, and then probably the types of projects that need many amendments have been projects in which Metro's donated tax delinquent property that has come with clouded title. That's been difficult for nonprofits to do. We're working through the last of those, and we're not putting any new properties out until Metro clears those before they're available. So there are various scenarios, but we can also pull that data before the next meeting or send something out to you on amendments.
All right, any further questions from the commission all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other general questions for either staff?
I guess,
Conversation.
or just more of a thought, like, obviously it sucks to have $3 million out for this long, but in their defense, the city made transit a priority. They tried working with us and we've changed direction slightly. So I guess I'm personally inclined to give them more leeway than I would normally.
I think to share my perspective of, I think $3 million is a significant portion when we're looking at our reduced operating budget for the next fiscal year. I think if it was purely site issues, I would tend to agree with Antone. I think the questions around maybe some of the funding complexity, maybe not fully being in alignment, I think I would lean in the opposite direction of that this is a project that may not have everything in place to move forward in a timely fashion.
Any further comments for discussion? I'll say we are, we have been having a lot of conversations about the timing, and I think that, for those who are with us in the room, those who are watching, have shared some of the conversations we've had. I think at this point, I tend to lean a little more where Antone is, where this is a project where we've followed. We think that from what we've been presented, a number of the delays are things that appear not to be within the applicant's purview. And while I recognize that there may be a few outstanding questions about some of the details of the financing, it does appear that the financing is present for the project to move forward. So I would be inclined to entertain a motion to approve.
So motion to approve the contract extension for New Level Community Development Corporation.
Is there a second?
I second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Chair and Commissioners, if I could take a moment to speak to all of the grantees to let everyone know, because I'm not sure that it's been elevated. This summer, we created an affordable housing permit so that any Barnes Fund grantee that needs a permit, please make sure. We tried to be proactive in creating them with recent rounds, but these are older projects. So if you don't have an affordable housing permit, which puts you to the, I don't want to say expedited because there's review timelines and things, but it moves further in front of the list of things to be reviewed by various departments. We used to do a letter that got folded into all the plans that are submitted and it gets lost, and it was the responsibility of the grantee to make sure that the departments knew. But this is actually a permit in our permitting system that's at the top, and it flags every Metro department in the review process. So that's a new tool we have, and that so if New Level doesn't have that permit, please let us know, and we'll be glad to set that up as they're going through the rest of their permitting processes and any other Barnes Fund grantee.
Thank you for that reminder, Director. All right, I believe we are now, that was the last item for vote. I believe this gets us to announcements. So just a few things to note. Generally speaking, we've had a combined November and December meeting. Based on a polling of commissioners, that date has been set for December 9th. This will be at 2 p.m. at the Inglewood Public Library. And so please note that. The next month in October, we are back in this room. You see up there on the screen on the 27th. And we will adjourn this meeting momentarily, have a very brief recess, and then restart the work session for today's meeting, where we'll be covering the August work session, as well as some recommendations from the Unified Housing Strategy. Are there any other announcements from the commission?
Oh, correction.
Oh.
Our next meeting is the 28th. That's a Tuesday.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. All right, so the 28th. All right, without objection, we'll go ahead and go into adjournment, and we will start back up in about 4 to 5 minutes.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.